Alright, certain black women are not getting the point. I'm not going to say all, because that would be, a gross generalization. But a strong population is still not getting it. Even some of the dudes, they get it, but they're not explaining the whole thing. It's not that black women aren't getting the successful men. They're not getting the men who are family men, right? If you're a family man in today's world, more than likely you're probably going to be educated because you need the resources to support your family. Pure and simple, right? These are the men that black women aren't getting. Well, how do you know? Well, of course, there's no stat on it, but let me go back to my own snapshot. Um, like I said before, I grew up in a mixed suburb. For those of you that don't know, not all suburbs are just white. There's Hispanics and there's other ethnic groups that made it out the hood. My neighbor's Hispanic dude, he's tatted up. Right? He didn't go to college, but he owns his own body shop. So that's kind of how he made it into middle class America. So where I live and where I grew up was composed of stories like his. And the problem is, most black people don't see suburb life. When I was a kid, you had black families, black mama, black daddy, right? Most of my friends from middle school and high school, they're a product of that. Their parents weren't necessarily educated, but you know what? They worked hard, and back in those times, in the 80s, 90s, blue-collar people could afford to be middle class. It's not the same anymore, right? But if you look in today's suburb middle-class environment, this shit is filled with interracial couples. Half the mulatto or biracial people that I communicate with on YouTube alone, in my opinion, just from talking to them and picking up on, reading between the lines, these people also come from middle class and or affluent areas. Alright? So, because of this, the majority of black women or black people can't see this trend going on. The numbers don't cover it, but it's there. And this is what black women aren't understanding. Other women get this. Growing up, especially in college, I knew Mexican chicks that loved some black dudes, and black dudes loved them. But when it was time to get serious, and it's time for family, guess what? They went to Pedro, they went to Jesus, and I'm not even trying to be funny, but they knew that family was the number one most important thing to them. And everything else was secondary. Even some of the white chicks. I know white chicks that love some black dick. And I know there's plenty of brothers that love some white chicks. But when it was time to get serious, what did they do? They found Bob, who was the accountant. Or, I don't know, Bob, who's a minister, or somebody who made no secret about wanting to have a family. That's who they went after. Any man who's a father figure or is a father and embodies it will be successful because he has to in order to take care of his family. Alright? Black women they have this shit backwards. Success doesn't mean you're going to equal a good husband or a good father. Shit. If you think about it, if you wait to get with the man, and he's already extremely successful, do you think he's going to treat you fairly, or is he going to treat you like a throwaway chick? Because you're just there for the money, right? Yeah. Think about it. Think about it. If a man's already successful, he knows why you're around. The whole point is to seek a man who wants to be a husband, who wants to be a father. Because him aspiring to be that means that he will be successful. Pure and simple. Being a husband and being a father, you don't get it with age. I'm sick and tired of, black women thinking that, okay, now I'm 28 and now I'm ready to be a husband and a mother, or excuse me, a mother and a wife. so I have to snap my fingers and I'm supposed to automatically get this. It doesn't come with age, it's a fucking choice. That's what women aren't understanding. They don't see that. Asian dudes, by the time they're 20, even before that, they've made it up in their minds that I want to be a husband and a father. Doesn't mean they have kids or they get married. It means that they're working their way up to that. That's the whole problem. Black women, they want to wait. Okay, I woke up one day, now I'm ready to be a mother, so I have to get pregnant. I'm ready to be a wife, so the next dude I have to meet has to be ready to be married in less than a year. That shit happens. Don't tell me it hasn't, because the shit's happened. I know from personal experience that shit happens. Right? You plan for that shit. You plan for it. Pure and simple. A nigga who wants to be successful doesn't wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be successful, and it happens. It takes years and years to get to a certain point where he can say I'm successful, and I'm not going to lose it in a couple of months. So what black women need to start doing is putting more of an emphasis on men who want to be fathers and husbands. Not in the sense who want to get married right away or have kids. Because Lord knows I'm not ready for that, and I don't even want to do that right now. But I know it's something that I want to be, so guess what? I work towards that shit. I go to school, I chose my career, not because I want to be balling and not because I want to have money, because I want to be a certain type of husband and a certain type of father. So these are the things that I have to do, but black women don't see that shit. I've only had 2 women tell me in my life that, oh, you have fatherly instincts, or who valued me more because I had that quality. Guess what? They were non-black. They were both Hispanic. They're the only ones that saw that in me. One of them saw it in me before I even knew I had it. She made the comment to me, and I was kind of like, what? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Now that I think back on it, it was a good thing. And I've been involved with a lot of black chicks. 90% of the women I've ever talked to were black. Some had kids, some were dark, some were light, some were petite, some were big. So I've dated the full range of black women, or been involved with the full spectrum of black femaleness. And not once did any of them, even like have the ability to even make that judgment. And what makes it worse, I saw some of the qualities of motherhood and wifeliness in some of them, but they didn't even see it in themselves. And you couldn't bring it out because it's almost as if they didn't want to know, or did they care because they thought that, you know what, I have to go through this phase, and I'm going to wake up one day and that man has to be willing and waiting. And that's the issue. That's a problem. The numbers are not going to support what I'm talking about. The numbers, anybody who's taking a stats class knows that all it's doing is giving you quantitative stats, not qualitative. Pure and simple. Right? And most black people don't have a snapshot into suburb life to which you will find families. They don't see that. They don't see it. I mean, it's almost common sense. What's the one thing that the black community is lacking? Black leadership, right? In terms of fathers and husbands, right? That's the one thing that we're lacking. So common sense would tell you that would be a high premium in terms of what you look for. Other races of women, they see it. They see it. It's not because, their skin is lighter, their hair is longer, but you win points. You win points when you're able to tell a dude that, hey, you would make a good father or a good husband, because it's fucking hard to do. It's one of the hardest roles to be. It's not easy because you're pretty much saying that I want to have other people's lives in my hands. I want to be accountable for the happiness and success of other people. It's easy to look after yourself, but it's hard to look after others, and it's a personal choice. So if you're a woman and you can spot that out, you've just won fucking points.